ready? You got me running, got me running. Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby.
And we're in, back in the room. Emma, how are you?
Back in the room. Great. Really good. Well, it's a holiday. Holiday time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's feeling quite festive.
I'm on holiday.
Great. So today, I'm going to do a slightly different version of it because known well to us and a good friend for years, but actually I really don't know much about this fella, actually. So had beers with him, talk about this, and you hear lots of stories as we talk in Dubai. But without giving away any names or anything, I'll tell you what I do know, and what you can say is yes or no. So this guy is half Irish, half English.
Yes.
Spent some time in the West Country, or
Yes.
does a lot of physical work in terms of triathlons. Is very keen and fit.
Yes. And no.
Has had a business, sold it, bought it back. Has been in the region for 25 years.
Yes. Ish.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll probably unravel a lot more of that because I really don't know much. Welcome to Captain's Table, Billy Harkin.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Pleasure to be here. Great podcast. Big fan.
Welcome, Billy.
Thank you.
So normally what we do...
Right. Intro's over.
Okay.
Intro's over.
Let's just crack into it.
Okay.
Starting off in Dubai, or a bit of background about where you come from, and you can really give us a bit of detail. And
Yeah.
in your own time, Billy.
Yeah. Okay. Let's straighten out the English-Irish thing, or as we call it, plastic paddy. So I was born in England. Birmingham is that West Country?
No,
enough?
I wouldn't say it was West Country.
Right.
But
Okay. So the Midlands. I was born in Birmingham to Irish parents. My dad was a contractor there. 3 sisters. Dad and Mom moved us back to Ireland when I think it was 1979. So I was about 8 years old. Aston Villa football kit, Birmingham accent, sounded like a Peaky Blinder, and moved us up to Donegal, which is right on the northwest coast of Ireland, the only county in Northern Ireland that doesn't belong to Northern Ireland.
That's right.
Yeah.
And very beautiful too.
Weather's great. So my dad used to say, the next stop is Iceland. So grew up there, went to a staunchly Catholic area, went to a Catholic school and then on subsequently to secondary school, which was a convent taught by nuns. Interesting.
I think that explains quite a lot, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it certainly explains the English-Irish thing. So I always thought of myself as Irish. But then I think I left Ireland. No, I know I left Ireland then. I wasn't for staying at school. I wanted out pretty quick, much against my mom's wishes. I left Ireland, I think it was a day after my 17th birthday. I got on an aeroplane and I went back to Birmingham to work for my uncles, both my uncles, who were my dad's brothers, who'd taken over the company that my dad had started. So I went to claim my crown.
and what was the business?
Yeah.
Construction. We were contractors. Concrete, groundworks,
Right.
And that's
shuttering.
absolutely your gig out and has been in Dubai pretty much?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
So that laid the groundworks for it, literally.
literally
Yeah.
laid
Yeah.
the groundwork.
Yeah.
And so that, if you're 17, so that would have been about 87, 80, yeah, right, okay.
I think in the late 80s.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, very much. My dad was, being the only son.
Yeah.
My dad was a workaholic. He, just contracting,
Yeah.
work mad. So the only time to really spend time with my dad was at work. He wasn't the sort that was going to take you down the park. So my weekends, cycling out to wherever Dad was to work with him after school. He gave me a really good grounding in construction. I was kind of, I felt it was my destiny, and always taught me how to, turn up every day for work, get up early, be the first man out on site, be the last man in, that kind of old school Irish mentality. Loved it. He was a great role model.
And how did that then transfer as we move towards Dubai and make it more relevant to this place. What's the Dubai catch? Where did that all start?
How did that happen? Right. Okay. A woman, as most things,
Okay.
like,
Here we
take a
go.
right or left turn.
Okay.
But let me take you back.
Yeah.
So when I moved to Birmingham, I spent 9 years in Birmingham. But around 21 years old, I met my wife, Amanda, lovely Welsh girl. I met her in London at an Irish festival. I was down a 3-day, piss up, and bumped into her there. Fell in love with her, and she was working in Luton. Big up to Luton. I know you've had somebody from Luton on the podcast. I think you had somebody.
Even if we have.
No, he worked for DHL and he lived in
Oh,
Luton.
Becky.
Yeah,
Becky,
that's
right.
And I thought, you're the only other guy I know from Luton.
Big shout out to Luton.
Big shout out to Luton.
Yeah.
It is a shithole. Sorry. But
Good airport.
Good airport.
Yeah.
So
Is it?
and a brewery. Yeah. So I spent, we were doing the motorway romance, Birmingham, Luton,
Right.
and that sort of ran its course for a few years. And she said, why don't you move to Luton? Give this a real go. And I was like, no. And so I said, why don't you move to Birmingham? She's like, no. So we said, right.
Well, that went well.
Yeah, what are we going to do? So we said, let's just take a year out. Let's travel, either backpack travel, or she had a lot more education than I had, or qualifications. I said, why don't you apply for some jobs abroad and let's see where that takes us. And then she got offered a job. They flew her out to Dubai for an interview. She got offered a job. I got offered a job in Dubai. I'm like, that's great. His next question was,
So
where's Dubai?
Won't do Birmingham, but can do Dubai.
I didn't know where it was. I couldn't have picked it out on a map, honestly. Okay. And then I found out it was the Middle East. I was like, oh, panic. Can you get a beer? Oh, you can get a beer. I was like, okay, let's try Dubai. It's halfway to Australia.
Yeah.
We can, if it doesn't work out, we'll keep going. So she came out first in 1996. So that's 25 years this year in the March. I joined her in the October to tidy up some loose ends in the UK. She was working for a company called Inchcape Marketing Services. They owned Inchcape Shipping.
Yep.
They owned Spinneys and MMI and quite a conglomerate back then. So she had a pretty good job. So it covered our rent, it covered our bills. So I thought, I'll take a bit of time out here. I had a month taking it easy. And then I thought, look at all the construction going on here. I'll just, get a job easily, right?
And this is
96.
96. Okay, right.
So 96. Yeah. When we moved here,
Yeah.
initially we moved. I remember pulling up, like most expats there. You were in Dubai, behind the Burj Khalifa Center.
Yeah.
So we're, the Golden Sands area.
Golden Sands comes up quite a lot on this podcast.
Yeah, that was the new Dubai. It's like, this is the new Dubai. They were still building the roads outside the apartment that we moved into. And they were like, see that across the water there, Dira? That's old Dubai, and this is new Dubai. I was like, wow, this is an awesome place. You got two cities, like an old one and a new one.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. And then you obviously had the trade center. You could see it in the distance, and not much between us and that. And the Burj Khalifa was like the biggest shopping mall I'd ever seen in my life.
And ridges in the middle.
Yeah. That's right. And then, so we had a great, we used to hang around with our friends. I remember going for a trip once with some friends. So we're going to go to the Jebel Ali Hotel. I was like, oh, great. And so we all jumped in the car, and the Sheikh Zayed Road had speed bumps. It was two lanes.
Yeah.
It took us about 2 hours, or it felt like 2 hours to get there. You were literally driving through the desert, and we got to this oasis that was the Jebel Ali Hotel. I was like, so is this Saudi? And they're like, no, this is still Dubai.
Is this
wow?
Is this Abu Dhabi?
Still Dubai?
Yeah, exactly.
So really, really interesting times like that. But you were young, you just didn't care. It's a lot of fun.
And there was a lot of pockets and Emirates Golf Course, Hard Rock Cafe.
That's right. Yeah, that was
pretty much was an outpost.
There was
it?
Yeah.
So that's all very well about well, you know, the outposts of Dubai. So when did you start to get a bit serious about Dubai with your work, Billy?
Okay, yeah, well, the holiday had to come to an end. I think about a month in, I was like, right, okay, I got to start turning up. But I realized very quickly that the type of work that I was doing in Birmingham, you know, shoveling concrete and carrying shutters, hard graft, you know, the pay for that type of work was is equivalent to a day's pay per month. So, and it would have looked weird. So I'd have been the only white guy on site shoveling concrete. So I was like, okay, so how's this going to work out? You know, what am I going to do? This is what I know. I don't have an education as such. I left school very young. So I went to the job agencies, Amanda, like, oh, you know, you should try sales, or, you know, you'd be really good at sales. So I was like, okay. I signed up. There was a handful of agencies back then. It was back in the day where there was no internet, or you had the Gulf News and the supplement, and it wasn't even a job page supplement. It was within the Gulf News, and there was Nadia's and BAC and the Talent, and there was about 4 agencies, and each of them had a one-page kind of. So I signed up, and they says, well, look, you know, you have no sales experience. You know, we do some lovely sales courses here, and we do some lovely computer courses. You know, why don't you sign up for a few of those? So I did. And about 3 or 4 weeks later, I was like, okay, done your courses, need a job. Or I'm going to need that money back. Right. So sure enough, a week later, they're like, we got a job, and it's in Sharjah. You know, it's with a crane. They load test tower cranes and stuff, and they do fire detection systems and sprinkler systems. Okay, great. You know, it's a job. I was just so delighted. I think the pay was like 4,500 dirhams a month, but it was better than shoveling concrete for 600. So I took it, and so I started going up and down the murder mile in the opposite direction, because everybody was living in Sharjah back then. Yeah, so rents were cheap. I'm working in Dubai, and that traffic jam coming to Dubai, I was the guy going the other way, going, "Hey, morning!" Yeah, there's no traffic here at all. So yeah, it was good. The job was a bit of a dead end job, to be honest. The guy who managed the company, British guy, Bill Wigan, made it quite clear from day one, this is your job today, this will be your job tomorrow, and should you be here 5 years from now, this will still be your job. So I was like, oh, fantastic, the prospects are amazing. You know, growth everywhere. Yeah. But at the time, it didn't really matter. And then about 6 months later, Amanda got a call at work from a lady from one of the other job agencies, a lady called Mags Farnham, who worked for BAC. Mags and I hit it off. This is back in the days when you could go into a job agency. You didn't apply in a pigeonhole online. You actually went in and you met the people who were, going to get you a job, and they assessed who you were and your personality. And myself and Mags got on really well. And she, obviously, nobody had mobile phones or email addresses then. So the contact information for me was Amanda's work and office number. So she contacted Amanda and said, like, is Billy still looking for a job? And she says, no, he's got a job. She goes, that's not what I asked. You know, is he still looking for a job? And she said, right, okay, no, maybe you need to ask him. Yeah. So I had a chat with Mags, and she goes, look, I've got a great job for you. You know, this job, I know your personality. This would be great for you. I know the guy who owns the business. It's a small business, but you would be fantastic in this job. I was like, oh, so where was that 6 months ago? And she says, no, there was somebody doing this job, but they were the wrong person. Right. Or the right person. So I was like, okay. So I went and met this guy, Malcolm, great guy from Yorkshire. And he had this company called Megarme. And, small, dozen people or so in this business. But what they did was amazing. It was like hanging around, rope access business. They're climbing on buildings and oil rigs and antennas, solving problems. Yeah. So much more exciting than
was there much crossover to what you'd done in the past?
Nothing. I was groundwork construction, but I think when you're young, I don't have an appetite for heights, but I didn't have a fear of them either. So it didn't really bother me. It bothers me now for sure. So, but I just loved the idea of what this business was. So I explained I had a job and I was tied into a contract for the next 6 months.
With Bill?
With Bill Wigan, yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, no problem. He says, let's start at the end of the year and I'll wait for you. So I said to Mags, yeah, great guy. I'm going to take this job. I really like this guy. He's from Yorkshire, up north, and he's a hey up lad, up the Dales. And I said, I really like that guy. She goes, that's good that you said that because he's my husband.
Oh.
So I was like, wow, oh my God.
That could have gone quite wrong.
That could have gone really bad. So, and again, we talk about luck and opportunity in life, and we
exactly.
talked about it earlier. Sometimes you just get lucky,
exactly.
right place, right time. So I resigned from my company, and then I started with him the day after Christmas Day, Boxing Day. I started work with Malcolm, and it was fantastic. Oh my God, I loved. On a Monday you would be, suspended under the heli deck of the Burj Al Arab, or you would be then chop it out to a rig on a Wednesday, and it was full on. It was hard work, and especially with a small business, I was in overalls all the time. I was the driver. I was picking the guys up and dropping them off. I was making the sales calls. I was the operations guy. I made coffee for the boss. So,
And it's niche. It's a niche business. In that why isn't people doing that within their own organizations? It's niche of what they're doing, of these heights, that kind of thing.
Yeah, right. So the business didn't start like that.
Right.
So the business was a painting company, marine painting. Malcolm, we used to paint all the British Navy ships that came into the region. Yeah. We had enablement contracts, not something we advertised back then or that you would advertise. But we had contracts to do painting ships. So when a ship came in, we painted it. But you couldn't plan that because the British Navy don't exactly give you a heads up on where their movements are going to be or when the ships are going to be alongside. So Malcolm had a nephew who was traveling around India who did this. He was an abseiler. And he spent, a summer here or a winter in Dubai with his uncle Malcolm and said, hey, Uncle Malk, this is all the go in the UK. This is what you need to be getting onto now. There's rope access. We're a one-stop shop. Instead of scaffolding and blasters and painters, we just climb up there and we get the job done.
Half the time.
20%, 10% of the time.
And
we're
done.
on the job in hours.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with one contractor, not 3, 4, 5, 6.
Sure.
So the one-stop shop, basically.
Yep.
So it made sense. So it was in its infancy, I guess, in Europe. It was starting out as it was potholers, basically, who loved climbing, who then started to make a bit of money on the side, and then it became a whole industry. And I think we were the first movers here in the Middle East by default,
And what a fantastic place with, so much tall
Particularly-
buildings.
Particularly at that time.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Yeah.
It was great timing, and it was like a kid in the toy shop. And it got to the point where, so we are the big project, the big challenge in access, because conventional access, normal buildings, your average tower, square tower, they have what you call BMU systems, building maintenance units that go out and
The cradle and they're up and down, yeah?
cradles up and down. And that's not where we get involved. We get involved in unconventional access. So the Burj Al Arab was under construction. WS Atkins were the consultants on it, and it was the most unique project going in the world at the time, I think. And we were heavily involved with a lot of the access challenges that they had, both inside and outside that project.
And very high profile, of course.
Hugely
So that would have been very good for you, I guess.
Extremely good for us, really, really good. So we cut our teeth a lot on that because some of those access challenges we were the first ones to go out and under the Skyview restaurant, which is suspended, and even we were consulted a lot, even though we weren't an engineering business. We were consulted a lot by the architects of various buildings that subsequently were designed and built in Dubai. That they said, we're going to build this, this area here, and we need to be able to access it. You, whether it's you or a company like you, needs to be able to access it.
This is just for maintenance, cleaning, everything.
Just to get into locations. And it didn't need to be high. Things like the grid shell on the Formula One track in Abu Dhabi. Metro stations. There's no conventional access for those. You have to abseil to access those. So it wasn't about high access, it was about unconventional access, going in, under, around. So our systems are used to going inside oil tankers, under decks and jackets of oil rigs. Wow. So we traverse, we don't just go up and down. Up and down is very easy. So, and then not just get into those positions, but have a rescue plan to get out of those locations should a guy get into difficulty. You know?
And health and safety, of course, is paramount.
Huge. You were governed by a governing body called IRATA, which is the Industrial Rope Access Trade Association, which is global now. So yeah, we very much led the charge in this region, and you know, we were the access specialists, the problem solvers.
Hit the ground running.
Big time.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
One project after anher after another after
Yeah, you do
another.
want to be careful with the words "hit the ground," don't you? I think, maybe. Well, not hit the ground, but
Yeah,
running.
I didn't really think of that. Yeah.
Failure is not an option.
Exactly. Well, they're part of IRATA. That's never going to happen.
That's it.
Exactly.
Well, I remember to the point where a lot of our clients, you know, because, you know, I loved it because then they would call us. We were the number one, we've got a problem. It wasn't just we've got an accident, we've got a problem.
Yeah, right.
I remember getting a call from a good guy from Dubai Petroleum, a good client of ours. He called me up one day and I was in the car and he's like, yeah, Billy, he says, I'm locked out of my house. And I was like, okay, how can I help? He's like, well, I don't know yet, but you're the guy that I always call when I have a problem. And I've got a problem. And I was like, where'd you live? And he told me where he lived. And I got a couple of guys round there, climbed over the wall, got in, led him into, and he's like, see, I told you, you're the guy. You're the problem-solving guy.
Perfect.
And I kind of, you know, I love that.
Got to be known as that.
Yeah, it's a really good company to work for. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
And I mean, this was 22 years.
Yeah, so Malcolm, I worked for Malcolm for 10 years.
Yeah.
And the business grew organically. Now, Malcolm had been in the Middle East for 25 years at that point. So he had one work shoe on and one trading shoe on. And he kind of had a bit of a mistrust about the Middle East. You know, he was just ready to pull the plug. And so, which meant we were earning good money. You know, it was a profitable business. There was little competition. Our rates were good. But it was the chicken that was laying the golden eggs that was feeding all Malcolm's other business interests, which were fish farms in the UK, houses in Spain, property reversions. He was into everything, largely outside of the UAE. So he choked the business a lot. There was times where, I mean, you know, you have the wage protection system and stuff in place. Now you can't run a business like that now, but we were up to 4 months behind with salary at times.
Oh, right, okay.
Our suppliers were up to a year behind, even though we were profitable. It's just the way he ran. He was like ready to go. You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, worked for Malcolm, like I said, 10 years, worked my way up to the front of the business. He was spending a lot of time away from the UAE, so I pretty much ran the business for him. Treated it like it was my own. Felt that I'd have a shot at the business at some point. And then, obviously, in the meantime, Amanda and I have had a couple of kids, George and James, and then so Amanda's had to step back from the corporate role. She was working for PricewaterhouseCoopers at that point and traveling a lot, so she had to rein it back in. So the corporate buffer of, you know, medical and housing and all that started whittling, and I was pushing Malcolm harder for more salary to cover the ever-growing cost of living in Dubai and kids, and try to be the lead breadwinner. And by now, you know, I'm in my mid-30s. So it got to the point where Malcolm said, I can't afford you anymore.
Right.
I said, okay, you know, so we had a bit of a parting of the ways.
Okay.
Where, you know, he fired me. You know, he just went, right, that's it. He didn't fire me like that, but he was like, that's it. You're at the end of the road. I cannot pay you any more salary. I was like, well, my lifestyle says, you know, my life says I can't live on what you pay me, and he wasn't paying me a lot. I think it wasn't a lot.
Right. Okay.
Wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So Amanda and I had taken on a mortgage at the time. We got on the property ladder a few years earlier, and we had a mortgage. We had 2 kids in school or nursery. And the mortgage was crazy back then. Again, just going off piste here, but you know, when the property boom started here, 2003, I think. You know, I had a house in the UK. Amanda had a place, and we sold those, and we put our down payment, got our mortgage out, and you could only buy a property of Emar. We bought in the Meadows. Off plan, crazy. You know, it's going to be built in 2 years. the maximum mortgage you can get is $1 million dirhams.
Yeah.
You've got to pay that back in 10 years.
Yeah.
And the interest rate is 12.5%. And we own the mortgage company. so there was a lot of financial pressure.
But was that AMLAC?
AMLAC. And you had to open a bank account in Dubai Bank as well.
Yeah, I remember
And
those
then you had
days.
to engage Emerald as your
Yeah.
payment supplier. It
Yeah.
was a complete monopoly.
Yeah.
So
Funny days though.
it was, you know,
Bags of
nuts when you
cash
think-
floating around and all that kind of stuff. And email.
Nobody asked questions
No.
because the market was going nuts.
Yeah.
So what we did,
Yeah.
obviously we were in that house,
Yeah.
and the value of that property, you know, even before we moved into it, had gone up significantly, and then it had more than doubled. So we decided to, you know, we couldn't leave ourselves short. You know, so we decided to sell the house we were living in, put some money in the bank.
Yep.
Amanda had set up a small business herself back then. Called Self-Catering Dubai, short-term rental business. Which is on the back of the freehold market.
That was just starting.
Starting, and she was doing really well. She had 3 or 4 people working for us, but again, we weren't drawing an income from it. It was just, you know, it was a starter business. So I said, well, let's get that. Let's cash in some chips here. Take the money off. We'll go and rent for a while. Let's put a focus on building Self-Catering Dubai over the next 2 or 3 years, and I'll transfer across to that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give some of my energy towards that business now as a life raft for us. So I balanced it out. So Megarme, the business of Megarme, stopped doing the elevation it was going at because my energy.
Yeah, sure.
I was just working normal days, not 16 hours days, which is what I was doing for Malcolm. And I'll work for what you're paying me for, you know, basically. And it wasn't long before Malcolm was going, what's going on? So this is what you get for a day's pay. You know. So I remember, I never forget the day he kind of came into my. Of course, I've been dropping hints to him as well. I was a bit manipulative in my sort of approach here because I was dropping hints. I was like, the house I bought, you know, I said, I got this money in the bank now. I don't know what to do with it. He's like, why didn't you buy the business? Why don't you buy this business? And I was like, this business?
I
can't
hadn't
afford
thought
this
of it.
business?
Thought of it.
I was like, I couldn't afford it. And plus, you know, there's all the debt of the salaries you haven't paid. And I said, well, look, think about it. Make me an offer. So Malcolm had a business partner, a silent partner, who owned half the business as well. So Malcolm wanted to exit his shares to me. And for me to stay on with his business partner, I wasn't interested in that at all. I was, even though I couldn't afford to buy out both of them. So I said, here's the deal. Let me buy your shares out. Here's what I can give you. I'll keep you on the payroll for 3 years, so you have an income. Saves my cash flow. If you can convince your partner to sell out, I'll bring in an investor who I've been having secret squirrel conversations with my dad on the phone, who had finally come to the end of his construction contracting business or property development life, and Mom was rushing him off to Spain to live in a golf course somewhere, and he's like, Billy, you got to help me here. I will be dead in a year if your mum has her way. So I says, look, I might have an opportunity for you to invest in the business that I'm working for. So he was all over it. He was straight out. So So we did the deal, closed the deal. It was back in the day where you didn't need too many lawyers.
So we're still 2006.
2006,
right?
Yeah, so 10 years after I arrived, literally, we closed that deal 10 years to the day after I arrived, 16th of October. And then we off we went. I didn't think about it too much. And then when I thought about it after, I was like, right, all the security that I've ever built from the day I left school at 17 till now is now gone into a business.
Which is great.
It is, but it's also like
Scary.
It's daunting, right?
It's daunting. I have no security. You know,
But you had done the hard yards.
Yeah.
You pretty well run the show. Yeah. You were stepping into the shoes that were waiting for you to step into, right?
I think,
admittedly, it's of course that's daunting, but you know, I mean, if there would have been no better person to have done that than you.
For sure. I think you're right. The conversion of time, 10 years of my life working for Malcolm then meant something.
Yeah, right.
It was the biggest investment. I always say it's never money, it's time. And when you've invested 10 years of your life into a business and you get to then step into the cockpit. But it was a few months later that it really, boom, hit me. And I was brushing my teeth one night and I just staring at the mirror, and Amanda's like, "You okay?" I was like, "Well, what have we done? What have we done? Oh my God, what have we done? This is a disaster." She's like, "It's fine. Just keep doing what you're doing." So that was, as I say, October 2006. So on we went, and Dad was great because having run his own businesses.
So did he come out here?
Yeah, that was the other thing. I thought he was going to be one of these guys that comes over every 3 months. He's like, "Where's my office?" And I was like, "Your office?" I said, "There's no job here, Dad. You're an investor, as am I, but I'm also an employee. I have a job here. You don't." And he's like, "But I'm an owner." I said, "Yeah, that's a different thing, Dad." And he's like, "Okay, I'm still coming out.
Yeah.
I still want an office.
Yeah, right.
And I will prove to you that I'll have a worth here." I says, "Okay, good luck with that."
Perfect.
So sure enough, he came out. He was over 60 years old at that point, and he was amazing,
Yeah.
And it was really good for me actually to bounce off when I think about it. When the global financial meltdown hit in a couple of years later, I'm like, "Oh my God, what does this mean? This is like a recession." Dad was, "Jesus, son, yeah, I've done half a dozen of these. Keep going."
Which is great.
It was
You
great.
needed that.
So he gave you the confidence and supported you in the right way.
So Dad very much focused on the admin and finance side. He says, he says, "You just keep going.
Yeah,
Business development, keep driving the ops and the biz." He says, if you see me with a worried look on my face, then you can get worried. If you don't, just keep going." So I said, "Okay, let's go."
So, but even during the crisis, these things that you've mentioned earlier would have needed to happen, or was this kind of technical stuff that needed in the buildings? Was it put aside, or how did the crisis affect the business?
Yeah. So again, yeah. So Dubai. So I think at the time Dubai was still kind of a little bit in denial because you had the Atlantis was opening in 2008.
That's right.
There was a big fanfare, big fireworks and.
But there was a small event beforehand that you guys were involved in, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Atlantis caught fire.
Yeah.
And we were drafted in to get that repainted. That was one of those, get here, don't even put in a price for it, just get here now, today.
Brilliant.
The building was still smouldering and we were on site and mobilizing, and the fire had got right under it, blackened all of the atrium area, which is the most difficult to access. And of course, during the construction of that project, they had no access systems put in place.
Right.
Because they said, this is the design of this Atlantis is exactly
Exactly the same as in
the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Where it rains a lot and it's self-cleaning. Yeah.
Ah.
And this was like, and we were saying, well, you're still going to have it's a dusty environment.
Yeah, sure.
What, if you need to access electrical sockets,
Yeah.
So they had no access system in place to take care of it. So we had to literally cut holes in under the atrium and put a series of suspended lines in, and we had like a gantry with a rotating hydraulic or hydroblasting unit that went over and back like a typewriter to take all the soot and blackness off there. We had guys all over that. I remember we were nearly finished the painting, and we were like, we'd need to have an exclusion zone below where we're painting, because the paint, you've got to contain the paint, right? Because paint drips and gets caught by the wind, and so they're like, no, just get it done. And I remember being stood down by the pool one day watching our guys, and this American guy turns up next to me with Speedos on, and he goes, "Hey man," and I looked at him, and he's got pink paint drops all over it, and I'm like, "Oh, hey man." I was thinking, "Oh God." He goes, "Are those your guys?" I says, "Yes, they are." And he goes, "God damn it, that's amazing." And he just walked off, and there was paint all over his back. And I was like, "Oh, Jesus."
Once again, that could have gone very differently.
It could have gone differently. Yeah, God, he looked like Mr. Blobby.
So that was, I mean, just thinking of the other projects you've got. Obviously, the big one is Burj Khalifa, which is here.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big part that you were involved in, wasn't it?
For sure. Let me go back to the Atlantis in 2008. So that the Atlantis kind of kept the Dubai onshore work going, but we had opened in Abu Dhabi And Abu Dhabi started stepping in because if you remember, 2009 they were awarded the Formula One,
Correct.
and also the Dubai Metro was opening in 2009. So we were doing a lot of work on the stations,
Okay.
you know, on the maintenance and a bit of work on the construction, on the little armadillo stations. But between that and Abu Dhabi, it really kind of saved 2008 and 9 in terms of work opportunities onshore. And then 2010, we were doing work in and out of Qatar, and like I say, that we were bootstrapped. We weren't leveraged, but we were pumping all. Dad and I just paid ourselves a very, very modest salary, very, very modest, and everything else went back into the company. So we were growing really fast. You know? So we opened an office in Qatar in 2010, which subsequently, you know, went on to be our most profitable business.
Right.
Exclusively oil and gas.
Right.
Didn't even touch the built environment.
Okay.
Going back to Dubai, obviously, the Burj Khalifa being the tallest building in the world. We didn't do so much on the maintenance or cleaning on it, but we did the installation of the light shows, and we do the installation of the fireworks every year that go off it. We also built the platform on there that they did the base jump off.
Right.
We even brought His Highness the Crown Prince on top of there.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. We've had some great.
So so that was 100%. That was him there.
That was him. Yeah, Daniel Gill. You know Dan.
Dan well.
Dan escorted him up. Yeah. Really.
So, because obviously also this week it's been a big thing with the Emirates advertisement, which is what's happened, and I think everybody was going, this is fake, and obviously what Shane's done is it was shown that it was true. Now, one thing I noticed is it talks about is it 160 meters? You've still got to actually climb up a ladder.
I think it is. It's like 25, 30-story building in ladder climb. You know, inside that spire. The spire is 2.2 meters at the bottom, 1.1 at the top. So you're literally coming out of a manhole. But it's got 3 stand-up light posts there.
Okay.
And then to stand up, for instance, where the Emirates girl was standing, you have a platform, a square plate, which has a flap.
Yeah.
And then they're attached when they're inside the spire, and then you belay them out, so they can't fall. And when they're stood there, they look like they're just stood there, but there's a
I noticed that on the thing, yeah.
So it's extremely safe.
But I mean, how much wind, how gusty does it get up there?
Yeah, it can get gusty. You know, they've got dampers in the building, so you don't feel the movement as much. But it's a scary place. The scary one when we had to build a platform, because don't forget, at that 1.1 meters at the top, we had to build a platform for the base jumpers that jumped off there. The engineering of it had to be, they had to jump from 3.5 meters away, because if they jumped from the spire, the vortexes
The wind would take them back into the...
suck them into the building. So we had to work with WSP, the largest engineering firm in the world, who had to design a platform. They were talking about lifting it in with helicopters, and then again the vortexes was a health and safety risk. They engaged us, and we had to assemble this platform. So you get up to 828 meters, exit a 1.1 meter opening, and then go 3.5 meters that way with nothing above you or to pull back on.
So it would have been taking quite a lot of time, because everyone
time. Well, we had to do mock-ups as they did with this one. You work it in a warehouse and make sure it all works.
So here's I wouldn't say it's a personal question, but here's and the question's going to come flooding in now. Talking about working at height. Some people are born okay with heights. Some people hate it.
Yes.
Can you grow into getting used to it? From your personal experience and from seeing other people that have worked for you.
Yeah.
How does it fit? Is it binary? People just go, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Or I'm fine with it. Or people just get used to it. That's my question.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Good question, Rex. I think as you get older, you lose the edge, because you got more to lose. You got a sense of mortality. When you're young, certainly in my case, I had less fear, but I wasn't on a rope every day. I was up there. I wasn't a rope access guy. I was the guy that was kind of driving the business and hiring the guys who did the really, really crazy stuff.
So you send Gilly up there,
And
mate.
Gilly's
Send
right.
Gilly, yeah.
Yeah.
but again, it's like so people used to say to us, "Oh my God, that's so dangerous." And you're going, well, actually, okay, the alternative to this is a scaffold.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people fall off scaffold every year?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know why they fall off? Because they're not attached.
Yeah, right.
Or they're on a snap on, snap off.
Yeah.
We have 2 ropes.
Yeah.
Each of these ropes will take 1.5 tons each.
Yeah.
You know, so the system itself is extremely safe. But you do have to have a head for heights. And we've had people who've been working for us for a few years who then just on a particular project just lost their ball, and once they lose it, just you can't put them back.
And you see, historically, when you look at all of the old buildings in the 20s in New York City, you see those pictures of the guys sitting off the iron grid having their lunch and things. And I read an article that historically, a lot of the Navajo Indians have an inbuilt lack of fear of heights, and they used to be employed right through into the 70s in Chicago and 80s. They're positively an asset to have them, because they just could walk around quite easily. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I think your religious connotation can have something to do with it as well. You know, if you believe I hit the ground and I come back as a butterfly, that's a great mindset. But I think you got to get him. It's a young person's game anyway. It's physically demanding.
Sure.
You know, being suspended and pulling yourself around on ropes is in this environment is really, really tough.
Yeah.
So it's not something you want to be doing as you get older. But yeah, a lot of the people are. We used to recruit, so we never recruited abseilers and then gave them a trade. We recruited tradesmen based on our requirements, whether it was inspectors, blasters, painters. You know, I remember doing. We were doing the 2 towers as you drive onto the Palm. There were supposed to be 2 rotunda towers built there originally back in the day when Dubai was booming. It was called the Gates or something. And to the left, where the multi-story car park abutted the one and only Royal Mirage, they're like, oh well, we have to have these hanging gardens that go down, and so you don't have a big horrible concrete car park.
Yeah.
Do we're helping them with the access for that. And they're like, but do you guys have any gardeners that can abseil?
Yeah.
And I says, okay, when's this project going to be finished?
Yeah.
And he goes, 18 to 24 months. I was like, I'll have you a gardener by then.
The answer is yes.
On a rope.
The answer is yes.
It's
What's
easy.
the question?
We can train them up in 5 days.
Right.
Yeah. So as long as they've got the head for height.
Yeah, exactly.
So that pretty well covers the business side of things with the great story of working from height.
Yeah.
So much in your case, but the business, which is fascinating. Now on the personal side of things, which I really know and hear a lot more about, is obviously all the work that you've done on the tri side of things, doing marathons and doing Ironman and all that kind of stuff. What was the wherewithal about? Where did that come from, really? And where did it all start?
Yeah. Okay. So I guess when in the years of working for Megarme, a lot of my work was after work, out with clients, business development. Historically, you're not having the most healthy lifestyle, so I wasn't in great shape, by the time I was hitting my 40s, I was really good at business development, but, and it came to a head. I went to a biathlon on the beach, Jumeirah Beach, that my 2 sons were going to, and they were going to swim. And then they called all the parents up, right? Okay, let's have a parent race. And it was, silly little race out to the boys and back, and then a run up the beach. And I remember running into the water at full pelt, and the kids are going, "Go on, Dad, you think you can swim, right?"
Yeah.
You think I can swim. And then you run like that with the adrenaline pumping, and then you swim out towards the boys, and I was just dying. I was choking, and I turned around to swim back, and there was these 3 old ladies that were my mother's age, breaststroking out behind me, and they're going, "You all right, son?" And I was like, no, I'm not all right. I'm going to drown. And they're like, "Calm down. You're going to be fine. Stay with us." So I ended up doing this breaststroke with these 3 old dears, and and finally get round this swim course and do the run. And I finished absolutely last in this race. And my sons are like, Dad, you were great. And I was like, no, that wasn't great. That was everything except great. I cannot be this out of shape, you know.
Right.
And that was a light bulb moment.
Massive light bulb moment. I thought, what if the kids got into trouble? You know, I literally, you know. So yeah, I started, and we had a good group of guys then. Robbie Marinelli, who's a fan of the show, Gilly, Derek, Quinny, Marty. A few of us were kind of looking for that.
Because you're all around the same time, weren't you? Around the same age?
Yeah.
Getting into it, yeah?
Yeah.
Joel Preston, was he around there?
Joel,
that time?
Joel came
later.
slightly later. But
Yeah, right.
Joel very much in the pack with us for sure. He's definitely.
There's a whole group of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from, you can't say start to finish because it's an ongoing thing for you. You're always at it, Billy. But
Training.
where did it take you? Where did it end up in terms of doing a full-blown try?
Yeah. So 2015, we signed up for a full Ironman. Bear in mind, we had never done a half one at this point. I remember somebody speaking to us and they're going like, "Is this how many halves have you done?" And we're like, "We haven't done a half." And they're like,
right.
"Are you an idiot?"
Going for it.
Oh God, we had no clue, you know. This is before the David Labouchere days, before we had coaches and we knew we could train properly for these. We just ran until we got tired. We swam until we got tired. We cycled until somebody fell off. And
so that was it.
Yeah.
A bunch of guys going, yeah, we can do it. No plan. Just
no plan. Weekend warriors, massive, you know, idiots, you know. And then, you know, you get the bug.
Yeah.
You do that and the adrenaline you get. I think, so for me, crossing that first line in Austria in 2015, that mental, because it's not a physical thing in Ironman. It's a mental game. It's your mental strength to go for 10, 12, 14, whatever hours it takes you to do this, where you've got to tolerate and throw pain and still keep out of your head what's still ahead. There's a full marathon and you're only starting the bike, you know, or the control of your emotions and the belief in yourself, you know. So for me, it is still a big part of my life, and I do it because it keeps me fit, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
I do it because I like a challenge. I do it because it's such a freaking awesome community and great bunch of people. It's so much fun. Yeah. It's, you know, it's not like going to a gym where you go, oh, I've got to go to the gym and I got to get through I really love those rides with David Labouchere in the morning. He is just, you know, he's just such a motivator. And Glenn, my coach, I have so much fun out there. And so you've got the social benefit, you're up at the crack of dawn, it gets you out of bed in the morning. The mental strength of believing I can achieve. Yeah, right. You know where I was. So do you think 40 to where I am now at 50? That's brilliant. You know, you can start that late in life. You can be that shit and you can change it all.
So before today, I had a little touch on the WhatsApp on the boot camp group. Just ask a couple of questions about yourself. And there's one word that comes up all the time is energy. Yeah. How you've got a constant energy. Now, it's obvious, and this is. Do you think with your triathlon and Ironman stuff, it's increased, or you've always had that inner sort of room-changing energy type scenario?
No, I'd say I've always had that. I've always been a high-tempo guy. You know, I used to, you know, when I was in the height of the Megarme days, I'd be in the I used to drink a lot of coffee and keep me going, you know, and I'd be like, what's that noise? Tap, tap, tap. Oh, it's my leg. Yeah. You know? So that energy level was always there, probably just not pushed in the right directions always. Right. And then when I started working with Mick Todd, you know, to focus that energy in a good way. Mick was, you know, he transformed the way I think I was 3-4 years into Megarme when I met Mick.
And Mick, for those who don't know him, he's a life coach and a
friend of the show.
A friend of the show. But a big support to so many people in the community.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking to him today, actually.
Oh yeah, Mick was huge for me. In getting me through the Megarme, getting me through my to where I am today. He's still a massive part of my life. He's a massive part of the community.
Exactly.
Lots of the people, great people I've met in my life have been through Mick. So, yeah, he's been like a guiding light all the way. Very lucky to have. Yeah, that's the other thing. Gratitude is a big thing for Mick, and I think just being grateful for how lucky we are.
But that's enough about Mick.
Yeah. So
Back on you.
Yeah, okay.
So I mean, we talk about body, we talk about health, we talk about mind. It's obvious that it's all there. What's next? What's next for Billy Harkin?
Okay, so having exited Megarme, I achieved what I thought was that's it.
Yeah.
When you say you exited, you sold it?
I sold it. Yeah. So when we acquired the business, we acquired it to grow it and sell it. There was no let's keep this forever. It wasn't. It was we were umbilical, surrogate owners. Yeah, we weren't emotional. We didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't create the business, so it was like I know the potential of this business. It's not reaching its potential. Let's go hard. Let's take it.
Right.
Let's sell it. So it was a 5-year plan that we had that turned out to be 7 years. But you throw in a recession, and that's what happens. But really, so the exit process, as you know, we started that in 20. We sold it at the end of 2013, so the start of 2014. My exit then ran for another 2.5 years. So I exited fully in terms of shares of the business, the remaining 30% in 2016, middle of 2016. And our owners, great company, Austrian company, family business originally, but a listed business. They wanted us to stay on in the business. They were really great to work with. So we ended up staying on another 2 years to the middle of 18. And then step back. I thought, I'll take a year off now.
Yep.
Middle of 18 to middle of 19, which went like a heartbeat. So I thought I'll roll this on for another year. I'm having a lot of fun. And it was a lot of fun.
Rapidly catching up, which gets us to where Hannah was saying. So where's Billy now?
Yeah. So I did the second year, and then COVID kicked in, and in a lot of ways, we did this retreat with Mick every year in November. And we set the goals for the year. And my number one goal in November 2019 was in Q1 2020, I will be the majority. Because when I exited the business, I'd made, I'd secured my family and, myself for the future. And I had invested in some small businesses, but not with any kind of controlling stake in it, which is, you and I know this, Rex, is a frustrating part of that is you have no control and you can't influence so much. So I needed to get back into the game again. I was missing, but I didn't want everything on red like I did with Megarme. I didn't need that. I didn't have to do that. And I certainly didn't want the stress of that. So I thought I need a nice small business that I'll enjoy and has got good people. And so I started, I will be 70% owner of that business in Q1, and then of course COVID kicks in. And I was in discussions with 2 or 3 businesses at the time, so I thought, this is interesting. So I decided to take a step back. I remember I'd agreed a valuation on one business in the end of February in 2020, and COVID was it was in the background then, wasn't it? I went off to Bali. It was my birthday, and by the time I got back from Bali, this business, which was in the events, it was an events business, a long established but small events business. Their pipeline had just gone zip.
Right.
So I said, look, it's unfair for me to drive your valuation down now because you have no business, let's step away from it. And in the meantime, then, I think I was happy to be out of business because I could see all the car crashes that were going on around the place and the uncertainty and the reality of you're not really in control, are you? In this life, you're at the hands of
dynamics were changing.
Yeah, that's it. And when you think about your life, it's all circumstances. How I ended up here, meeting Amanda in Finsbury Park at a
exactly.
How did I end up in Dubai, to meeting Mags, to Malcolm,
sliding doors.
That's what life is. So I thought, right, this is a science. Take a step back, and then Ben Corrigan, he's a friend of the show, great guy, known Ben 10 years, and. He had, apart from his great business, award-winning business at Blue House, he had another small business called Urban Surveys,
right?
Which I always admired. For the last couple of years, he and I used to have discussions around it. Great business, and he had a guy running it called Nick Sykes, brilliant guy. But Nick had been in the Middle East for a while. He just had his first baby, and then COVID hit, and well, he just pulled the pin. He said, I got to go back to the UK. So Ben was putting the business up for sale. And I said, well, why are you putting it up for sale? He said, well, Nick's leaving. I says, okay. Why are you putting the business up for sale? And he goes, well, I've got my hands full here, Blue House. And I says, okay, let me take a look at it. And I took a look at the business. It was a really good business. It was having a tough year, of course. 22.
What is it?
So what Urban Surveys does, and again, like Rope Access was to me at the start, I'm a novice. I had to go in and try to learn, and I'm still learning. So I'm not going to get too technical about this, but it's laser scanning or LiDAR scanning, light scanning.
Yeah.
So I know one of the big frustrations we used to have in Megarme when we used to do a lot of inspections, visual inspections on oil rigs and platforms. And what was lacking a lot was accurate information, blueprints, details, and any blueprints you had were never that accurate. And in most cases, you couldn't even get them.
Yeah.
What this system does is you go in and you laser scan, so it creates a digital 3-dimensional model that you can walk through, fly through, and its accuracy is amazing.
Oh, wow.
So, and we're in the digital world now, right?
Yeah.
So no, this is it's not brand new technology. It's been around about 10 years, but the construction industry is ripe for disruption. In fact, I was reading an article recently where we got fintech and all the other techs. Now we got contech, right? Is the new disruption. Yeah. And as Ben would say, construction is a hairy ass industry. We're still, getting the old measuring tape out, giving it the old. And so it's not going to be a fast switcher like finance or IT. This is going to take time. So, and where else has got more assets than this?
Exactly.
And with my contacts in Qatar and access, but I think I could really scale this business. So I've kind of come in taking a look at what is a small business. It's probably a quarter of the size of Megarme when I bought Megarme. Probably less. Probably about 20%. So it's not a high risk for me to get in. I've kept Ben on as a shareholder. I've kept James's partner, James Colburn, great guy, on as a partner. And I've brought my cousin Derek, friend of the show, Derek Riley, who's a champion. Derek and I, we're first cousins. And we've always been looking for an opportunity to do something together apart from drink and race.
I'm glad you put that in very quickly because I was going to step in.
Derek works in claims, and a big part of what Derek does is basically people who acquire assets, and then they buy these big assets, which are the biggest things you're ever going to acquire, and then they go, actually, this isn't what it says it is, because you're given a set of blueprints and you just assume they're correct. So you go in and you scan them and you're like, this is not correct.
Exactly.
So I see this as being creating digital twins and moving to a digital world. Blueprints are going to be like fax machines, in the next 5 to 10 years.
Sure.
And like I say, my brain doesn't process all the software and hardware. And when I'm talking to the technical guys, I just zone out. Like the technical guys in Megarme that would teach you all the nuts, and I'm like, I've already tuned out this conversation.
Exactly, but it's fine. It's good you're there.
I just need to know, can we cookie cut this? Right. Replicate it in several other markets, and that's all I need to know. I'll stay
Fantastic.
on the helicopter.
So that's going to keep you busy for a while.
I'm genuinely excited about it.
Brilliant.
Great people. Great market, and let's not forget, COVID and all of that. And I've learned from my father with the global. Nothing like a good crisis, right? Clears the field, and let's not forget, when I sold Megarme, when I first made my first exit, oil was $125 a barrel at that first exit point. It was $28 a barrel when I made my second exit. It's back up at 70 now, and we've had housing crises and mini bubbles, but technically, as far as I'm concerned, it's been a 6-year recession, 7 years probably. So we're due another good upswing.
Brilliant.
We've got an expo, we've got a World Cup, we've got great leadership. Dubai's 50 this year, I'm 50 this year. Bring it on.
It's perfect.
Go on.
Well, I think it covers very much to our next point, and what we always ask everybody is, well, obviously the great news is you're going to be around for a while in Dubai, so I'm happy about that. And number 2, why do you like this place so much? What's the main reasons that you like Dubai?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think every expat here, you go through that wobble at some point where your wife's going, that's it. we need to leave. You know, we need to get out of here. And that happened to us about 5 years ago. And our plan was to move to France. As you know, we bought a place there, and we've had some wonderful times there. But you know, it's full of French people.
Right.
So
we've got a few
there,
French audience. But
yeah, no,
it's okay.
I love it. I love it.
We've got one.
I love.
I know of one.
I love their
one,
food.
yeah.
Love their food.
Yeah.
Love their wine. But you know, for me,
Land of opportunity.
this, you know, we did a matrix one time, myself and Amanda. We said, okay, right, great, let's move somewhere else. We're anywhere and pick a place on the map.
Yeah.
And what we did was we wrote a list of places we thought we'd love to go, and then we wrote the criteria that we were looking to achieve. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. City life, close to a beach,
Mm-hmm.
tax friendly,
Mm-hmm.
great business opportunities, English speaking, no bureaucracy, good weather, yada yada yada. And then we scored them.
Yep.
And you know,
I'm trying to think.
It's quite weighted towards
Yeah, I'm trying to think
here,
what-
isn't it?
yeah.
I'd say?
Did-
well,
but
that's-
did-
we based it
There
on
we
that.
go.
But did anybody else come on the list on that? I'm trying to think who else would be on that list.
Oh, so we tried, you know, we looked at actually South Africa, Singapore was on there,
Yeah.
you know, similar city state,
Yeah.
Cayman Islands was
Right.
actually, and we went. So what we did is every year we'd go on a family holiday, and instead of going and staying in a hotel, we'd rent a villa,
Yeah.
and we'd go meet the
Somewhere different.
locals,
Yeah,
and you know, live like a local, you know. So we'd get a feel of what it would be like to live in a place like that. So, but the Cayman Islands was fascinating. We
Yeah.
spent about 3 or 4 weeks there.
Mm.
Tiny islands, 3 islands, but tiny island. But it ticked every box that Dubai does,
Mm.
except it's much smaller. It doesn't.
And
really
you
have a city.
Island fever may come
Cabin.
on.
I met everybody 5 times.
Yeah, right.
on that
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
But opportunities are massive.
Yeah.
Tax breaks are huge. You would make a fortune if you're a laid back kind of person. That's the place you want to be going.
Mm.
But if you need
Yeah.
to plug into something, and I do, you need a place like Dubai.
Yeah, right.
And that's why we're here.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah, that is.
And that's
good.
great. No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, Billy, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks, Billy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's great talking to you guys.
I mean, it's.
Thank you for
I
inviting
knew this
me.
would get me all energized, and it certainly has. So we want to hear more what's happening on urban surveys going forward. But thank you very much.
Stay tuned. Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Billy.
Take care.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that with Billy. I certainly did. Rex,
Yep, it was all right.
Billy,
I thought it was great.
You
guys
are
are
amazing.
amazing.
You
You're
are
amazing.
amazing.
No,
No, no.
you're amazing.
Hey.
Oh, do stop.
anyway, if you want more of this, like our channel, subscribe, and what's the other third thing?
Comment.
Comment.
Thumbs up.
Thanks, guys.